Welcome to B Studio with the new lighting. Took that fluorescent that was behind me and put it in this little space. The only negative thing is now the rest of my room is dark, so we'll have to get that figured out. But what I wanted to do today, Colinoutdoors recently did a great 3 or 4 part series on bushcraft saws. They were typically folding saws, and although I haven't really tested too many folding saws, I have 3 sets of saws that are in my kits that I think work very well. Otherwise they wouldn't be there. Now the Gerber, when we go over that, I would say that it probably gets the least use out of the 3 of these. Initially when I did the Woods Monkey Perfect Survival Kit, I mentioned in there, although there wasn't much time with the 10-minute limit back then, to discuss the Ultimate Survival Technologies saw. I still love this saw, and said back then that with my Rat 3 and this thing, there wasn't a whole lot you couldn't do. I love the fact that it doesn't have the smaller rings. It has the larger nylon loops, especially in the winter. It allows you to use them a lot easier with big bulky gloves. I like it because it doesn't cut into your finger. The webbing helps pull that weight sideways. And then it's, you know, what it has is it's like a modified smaller chainsaw. Now the links and stuff aren't as big as a regular chainsaw, but it has very similar teeth and grooves on here. And let me get my handy dandy magnifier out here. Those of you guys are familiar with the chainsaws, it has a similar cutting tooth, and I don't know the terminology on there, but similar cutting tooth and sort of clearing out the debris. It does a great job of not only chewing through the log, but really clearing your cut of the sawdust. It also is an extremely small size, and I do have my scale nearby here. I believe I've weighed this before, but for the sake of the saw video, the saw with bands is right at 4 ounces. If you count the sheath, you're at 6 1/8, so just over 6 ounces with the sheath. I recommend carrying the sheath. It's a nice heavy duty nylon. Really haven't had any issues with that. But this thing really works terrific, and when we get out there I'll show you what I mean. Now the next one, while I got the scale out, let me weigh the rest from. The Gerber one is going to be pretty heavy, and it does have belt loops. Never really wanted to carry it, and this is why. It comes in at 1 pound, 15 ounces, and 1/4 ounce, just shy of 2 pounds, with sheath and everything. And we'll pull this one apart next. But while I got the scale here, the Sven saw is just over about 10.5 ounces. Alright, next let's get into the Gerber. Now Gerber does make smaller saws. They make foldable saws and all sorts of stuff. This was one I purchased a long time ago because it has enough firepower in it that it was the first saw I bought as a wilderness saw to have as a complement with the axe. And you'll see there's several compartments with it. It has nice nylon holds for the handle. It has the rubber texture, very similar to their Gerber Gators. If you know any of that, I think it's Kraton. I'm not really sure exactly, but nice grip on here. And it's basically a breakdown saw that has several different tips with it. And they're in a nice tight fit. It has one expanding bar here. Make sure I'm on camera here. That goes in. It's a little tricky when you first put it together, and let me back up the camera a little bit, simply because you're not really used to anything being put together this way. So I can go all the way to a 20-inch saw. Now for right now, these aren't locked together other than just slipped in place. The thing that locks them together for the 20-inch saw is they have their own version of their saw blade. Now, you can see I've used this one. It's got a little sawdust on it. Probably means I didn't clean it last time and put it back. This is very similar to, I believe it's the Incredible saw. I'll get a close up here of the teeth. You'll see it doesn't quite have the same teeth or chainsaw pattern that that the other one does. It has alternating teeth in different directions, and they alternate out from the center line of the saw. And they're on links, and I haven't had any problems with this. It works pretty well. It has a small pin that you put on the tip, and then a small pin that locks into this screw, and then as you screw this tight, very similar to a lot of buck saws, then this chainsaw not only becomes, the blade becomes tighter, but it also keeps all these sections in a row. There's nothing else holding this together, and I have found it's pretty stable. It does have a little bit of movement side to side, but let me grab a tape measure and I'll kind of show you the difference. With the tape measure, the pouch for the UST saw is about 3.5 inches wide, and if you go all the way to the tip, you're just over 5 inches deep. Thickness with this loaded is about an inch and a half thick with the buckle, so pretty low profile. Make sure I'm zoomed out all the way here. This end to end gives you the saw itself, I've got it right here on the tip, is actually 21 inches of chainsaw there. With the screw it comes just past 23, but a 21-inch cutting blade is great, especially when it compacts down like this. I know a lot of bushcrafters like carrying a buck saw with them, or they'll carry a takedown wood buck saw. I found this to be a very effective and affordable. It wasn't that expensive, but I bought it years ago, so I honestly couldn't tell you the price. But it gives you a lot of different options. So let's tear this apart. Not only do you get the sort of the chainsaw mode, there are also, there's another one in there, there's 2 small rings. So you could take it just like the UST or a lot of the survival saws and ring it in there, and then be able to cut it around a tree separated. So if you wanted to have a saw that's very small and compact, and in fact this one compacts a little bit smaller when you get all the way down, especially without the handles, than the ultimate survival saw. So if you want to know the weight of just this saw, is 2.5 ounces. With the 2 little rings, it comes to exactly 3 ounces, and that's what I'm weighing here, is the 2 rings and the chainsaw bit. So it has the ability to be a very similar saw like the ultimate survival saw. Now if you don't need all 20 inches, there is a crosscut wood saw. I believe it's a 10-inch, and the actual cutting teeth is only about 8. The saw itself is about a little over 10 inches, but with the exact where the teeth are is less than that. So if you take this and basically treat this like a regular buck saw, that doesn't want to fit on there. There we go. Now you have a very comfortable handle and a nice crosscut wood saw. The depth from the blade to the top is about 4.5 inches, so if you've got a 9-inch log you'll have to flip it over. But this will chew through quite a bit of wood, and it has a very aggressive crosscut. Has the alternating teeth with the clearing teeth. Very typical crosscut saw. But it's nice. Very comfortable handle, very sturdy, and it breaks down just as easy. I won't show you because it's kind of a waste of time. There is a smaller tooth design, and it is considered a bone saw. Any hunters out there, when you guys need to break down game, deer hunting, elk hunting, you have to break through that pelvis, it's nice to have a little 10-inch bone saw on here. I suppose you could use it for a few other things, but that's its intended purpose. And you get essentially 3 saws in the package of one, but you have a 2-pound package, so it's a little high on the weight. Let me put this back together and then we'll break down the Sven saw. Alright, now to measure the UST saw, the actual cutting surface is about 25 inches. We got a little over on that side, and it comes to 25.5 of actual cutting surface. So it's also it's a little bit longer than the Gerber as well. Alright, now for this comparison, make sure we're on camera here. Overall length, all the way to the end of the nut, to the tip, is 17 and a half. And they do make a 21-inch version of this that I may get down the road. Never really had a need for a bigger one, but I've always kind of in the back of my head wanted a bigger saw. But this one has done everything I needed to do, and it's usually my go-to saw. The Ultimate Survival comes with me quite a bit just due to its size and weight. Like I said, on a small day hike or something where you're not expecting to have to do a lot of wood, it's a good comfort knowing in the back of my head that I don't have to carry an axe to be able to process large amounts of wood with a decent sturdy blade like the Rat 3 I used to have. This is also made in the US, I believe. It is made in the USA. So to get the saw apart, like a lot of buck saws, people have different techniques about inner tubes and stuff to keep the blade from tearing up their packs. With this aluminum handle, there's really no worry. You take the wing nut off the nut. That allows you to slide the red housing out. The blade is housed inside the aluminum here. And give you a little close-up with the blade. Very similar to the other Gerber that you saw. Clearing teeth and opposed cutting teeth along there. And to get this together, you'll notice there is a small slot and a hole for that wing nut to go through. The bolt is attached to the end of the blade, and you put the bolt in the end of the handle. Let's see if I'm on camera here. And then put essentially the sheath, the aluminum sheath, through that side. Alright, with this all put together, the blade does sink slightly into the handle, helps it keep from twisting on you. It does have a little surface rest that I'm going to have to take care of. Actual cutting blade surface is 14 inches. From the blade to the tallest part is about 6-7 inches. So you can get a little bit bigger log with this, although you're dealing with a triangle shape rather than the large hacksaw style blade. This is one of my favorite ones. I simply like the ruggedness. The weight is a comparable weight to the Gerber, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions. This is just an intro vid with controlled lighting, and then we're going to go out and give these guys a shot and kind of give you my impressions, and you can watch them chew through logs. So thanks for watching. So first up, I decided just to put the Gerber in the 20-inch chainsaw configuration. Some of the stuff, you can break it off for your fire. You wouldn't really need a saw. Make sure we're on here. But It's about 3 inches diameter. Pretty effective. Again, when you have 20, I think we measured it at 21 inches of cutting surface, you're going to do pretty good. I'm just going to cut right behind that. You're going to see that 21 inches, you're not messing around. And to have a 21-inch saw in a compact size like that is pretty good. You might hear that I'm a little out of breath and a little tired, and it's because we just did what was it, tricep, shoulders, and chest on P90X. So my shoulders, chest, and tris, short of your back, is pretty much all the muscles you're going to use for saw use. So I may be a little out of breath today. You also hear Max in the background. Alright, again, these smaller ones you could break if you want to. Let's just kind of get them out of our way. Pretty effective though. This is going to be the Sven saw. Should run the camera here. And let him do it left-handed. And we get closer in. Out of the way. Nothing really beats the teeth of a traditional buck saw. Get these out of my way here. Starting to get in some thicker stuff. But pretty effective. This is usually, if I have the room for it, even on some day hikes, I'll take it. It doesn't weigh anything really. Not sure if you can see. I'll do one more pass right next to it so you can kind of get an idea. I give you an idea on the 15 or 17 inch Sven saw. Even on this, 5 inch diameter, you start running out a little bit of room. Now I have a branch over here and stuff like that, but still very effective saw. Hard to beat the actual design of the teeth for the buck saw. Alright, now the ultimate survival saw is going to be a little different because it is essentially the commando saw. But we're going to stick it here. Gets through it. This super hard dry stuff with these big old teeth takes a bit chunks out. All right, we're going to cut another one. I just want to kind of show you the power of this chainsaw type saw configuration for its size, and especially in a survival situation where you're going to be cutting down potential green trees, live trees for shelter use, for wind blocks, stuff like that. It works very effective. I'll show you close up here. The last little bit usually rips out, but a decent clean cut works very well on green branches, and considering that I'm be allergic to these guys in the spring, I don't mind making a little bit less of them. But very effective saw for the size and the weight. Have no qualms about carrying this and worrying about it breaking on me. Alright, now I know I can't zoom in very far, but I want to show you the ease of cutting and the width of your blade in your cut. So this is the Gerber with the chainsaw on it, about 1/8 of an inch. You look at how small that buck saw on the Sven saw is, and it's maybe a 1/16. I mean, it's half that. So your effort cutting through, as you saw, is going to be so much less. Whereas the ultimate survival saw, when you're working on hardwoods and dried out woods like this, it's going to have a little bit harder time because it's got to make this path. It literally is a chainsaw. I mean, that's the kind of, you know, width of a cut you'd see on a chainsaw. So all very effective, but yeah, you can see this fence saw pretty much hands down tears it up, and that's why I carry it. Well, we're back at the truck here, and you know, hope this helped. Maybe that better explains why this is a very capable saw, but usually stays in the mountain bag just for its weight. But it is a very capable saw, especially in wintertime when you're not trying to mess around and you either need to get a shelter or a fire going. This guy is hands down for size and compactability and weight. I have not found a better saw. There are some little wire commando saws. A lot of guys like I said, like to take in just a buck saw. But again, you need some sort of sheath for it to tear up, and then you've got a little bit of downtime where you've got to find a you know, a nice green branch to turn into a buck saw or a bow. You know, there's plenty of ways to do it. If you were very extremely minimalist and time was not an issue, that's fine. Generally, when I'm processing a lot of wood, you know, I don't like to waste a lot of time because I'm either cold, I want to get a fire going. If I'm practicing shelter building, that takes enough time and energy anyway. I don't want to spend, you know, 40 minutes putting a buck saw together, or, you know, if I was making my own. So very capable. This guy probably gets used the most. Simply, you saw the speed of it. Maybe down the road I will get the larger one, but I've been very happy with this one, and rarely have run into a reason to cut a larger log that it can cut. There's really, I can't even think of a time where I needed a larger saw. With this one will cut 10-inch logs pretty comfortably. You know, you got to use your back muscles, use all your muscles when you go to use that. Just, you know, I can definitely feel it today, like I mentioned, because I just got done working out. So I'm a little bit fatigued anyway in my triceps and shoulders. So I let my back do most of the work on the cutting today. And other than the dry, hard woods where you might have a little bit trouble with a larger tooth size, it's a very capable saw. So that's my conclusion. These are the 3 saws that I love and that I carry, and these are the reasons why.